Hello there, YouTuberizers and YouTuberetters and other persons involved. You know what is it nowadays? There's like 74 genders or something. Ah, my gosh. I wonder if there's one called a wingnut. Kind of a loose gasket. Out of balance piston. I mean, I don't know. 74 genders. Well, anyway, in YouTube land, I see only girls and boys, boys and girls, women and ladies and men, and little girls and little boys too. And it's the way the good Lord made us. And if you don't like it, well, I'm sure I'll get used to it at one point or another. But at any rate, all that modern gender ideology aside for a moment, by golly, I'm just getting crazy here. I did one this morning. I got a young lady now. Here's yet another shout out. Now, Anna Rose, I heard you. Thanks, Anna Rose, for your comments. And you know what? I did finish that darn brownie, but I had to wash it down. Stopped and got a couple of sandwiches on the way home and got a bottle of Corona Familiar. Waiting for that big endorsement deal. It's probably the check is in the mail. But boy, I just wanted to talk about that day today. I sent that little video in earlier. It's like, oh my gosh. And we hit the same damn gas line 2 times now. This next hit was about 50 feet away from where I nailed it. And that black poly tubing stuff, I mean, it's like you could sneeze at it and the stuff will break. Well, that's probably an exaggeration. But the point is, it's a little more than a sneeze. It's a 15-pound digging bar with a sharp edge. Kind of went right through it. And so I did that video today, and I had a video of when the gas leak was going on, but it was kind of chaotic, and it really wasn't very well put together. So I finally got rid of it. I recorded the final one. It's about 2 minutes and some change. I don't remember. Right at the end of the day, just kind of let on that, well, okay, given today, it's so weird. I started off, I went down at the office. I said, hey, is that tire low? And we looked at it. Sure it was. So there's a compressor at the shop. We threw some air in the thing and boom, boom, filled it up. So the boss says, why don't you just run it by Big O? Well, I don't like go by Big O, but we did anyway. And dropped the truck off. Well, that means we need another truck to get back. Boom, boom, boom. So we're at the job. I send Nemo off, go get me this stuff. I don't even know what we're doing without these parts out here. I must not have been thinking earlier. Let's get them here because we'll need them today. So he goes out and gets the stuff. Halfway through, I call him, oh, don't forget, get one of these. I forgot to order that. Don't forget one of those. I forgot to order that. And meanwhile, the poor guy's driving around town for like an hour. He gets back. About 8 minutes before he gets back, Big O calls back. Hey, your tire's fixed. Thanks. So I said, we'll be up in a few minutes. I got to wait for my man to get here. So we drove back up to Big O and back down to the shop, dropped off the other truck, came back to the job site, and then proceeded to start digging. And, you know, it's so funny because I was digging on the other end of that mess where Nemo hit the main. And if I'd gone like a ½ inch further, literally, I would have seen the line. But I never broke that dirt, and it never even occurred to me while I was there. Hey, wait a minute. They're calling out a gas line. I see a dummy over there called Mr. Yellow Pipe, which I believe is dead. Where's that black vinyl junk? Where's it at? It never crossed my mind. I could have found it in under 4 seconds if I would have thought about it. I never thought about it. So I think that's kind of on me in a way. So anyway, Nemo, I'm sure he never thought about it because he's brand new. He's green. He's never done this stuff before. And I mean, I got like 38 years experience, and I mean, he's got 30 years of life, you know. And so, nothing against the kid. He's a good worker. I really like him. But, of course, they're pulling him away from me because he's so good. He's a good helper. So they're going to hire a new helper, probably going to be a green, who doesn't know any plumbing at all. And maybe that'll be good because sometimes when you get a green guy, or actually I've never worked with a plumbing helper who's a female. Women don't go into plumbing. There's a lot of lifting, and it's ugly. I mean, just dealing. You know what I was doing today? I was trying to clean off a fitting, get the mud off there. Well, I didn't have any water. Well, sure enough, the lady's flushing her sink upstream of me. I got a wide open sewer, and it's running into the ditch. So I just used that water to clean the thing off. It never even occurred to me until I was done. It's like, wait a minute, Mike, you're using raw sewage to clean the pipe. I was like, yeah, but it was at least clean water, sort of. And so you got to be willing to stick your hands in there and, fiddle with the muck. It's like, it gets gross sometimes. Sometimes a little on the nasal side, if you know what I mean. And just walk by one of them little blue rooms, or green rooms, wherever you are. You got an outhouse. If that thing's been sitting there for like a month and they've never serviced it, just step in there and, yeah, it's the sound of money. It's the smell of money, I mean. But anyway, we were out there, nailed that sucker. Here comes the same city crew that was out there 2 days ago. And these guys going, "What, you guys again?" I said, "Yeah, same house, man, sorry." And I apologized to him, and I said, "Look, man, I hate doing this. I wish it hadn't happened, but we're here now." And they made a quick fix of it. They did a good job. I'm sure they're going to bill the boss probably $600 or $800 for the deal. They had like 7 trucks out there. They needed one guy. That's the way City does things, you see. There's an old joke. "Hey, did you hear they're laying off city workers?" "No, really? What's up with that?" Well, it turns out they found out that shovels can stand up all by themselves." But anyhow, getting back to reality here for just a moment. Gosh, watching the news and stuff, I mean, it's so gloomy and stuff, and it's just such a downer. And I think what you need to do is you need to find a time with, friends or relatives or, little baby brothers or sisters, somebody who still has a innocent view, and say, "Hey, let's go do something fun today. Let's go down, chase butterflies by the river. Or let's go, make the anthills, fight each other." That's what boys would do. We used to gather about 30 red ants, big red ants, like about 3/8 inch long, put them in a bottle or a can, and go sprinkle them on the black ant pile. And boy, it was like a royal rumble down there right now. Those ants could not stand each other. And so it's kind of mean, but I mean, that's what boys are, Let's go blow something up. Let's go burn something down. I mean, and girls, they want to have like maybe, a social thing where people like relate to each other and we'll have a conversation, And guys just want to go blow something up, dig a hole, I wasn't much different. It's just what happened. What changed was I got old, and I began to realize that may not be the complete story. Hey, my little brother today turned 64 years old today, and he's a good guy. I mean, in a lot of ways, he's a much better man than I, but that doesn't take much doing. I mean, it's kind of a low threshold now, ain't it? But anyway, I love my little brother. He's a good man, and I had a little confession with him about a year ago. I honestly think my, attitudes and priorities have been changing the last year and a half, somewhere in there. More like a year and a half. And I told him last year even, and that was only 8 months into it, because it was like at Thanksgiving in November. I was up in Albuquerque visiting with him. And his lovely wife. His wife and him, what a team, man. That's like what marriage is supposed to be about. 2 people who love each other, 2 people who respect and honor each other, and they can work together and have fun together, and they're great parents, great grandparents too. And I swear oath they were good sons and daughters when my dad and the wife, my sister-in-law, when her dad was alive, and taking care of the elderly, and the guy's a champ. That's all there is to it. But anyway, I just said something like, in my text, I was too cheap to buy a birthday card. I sent him a text. I said, "Hey, man, you got number 64 under the belt. It's in the rear view. You're doing good. Rock on, brother. Keep on keeping on." He's a real champ. But anyway, you wish people birthdays. You think of anniversaries. You think of, when did we first meet, and then stuff like that. It's things like that that are important to a lot of people. Now, guys are really bad at that. In fact, we might need to take notes. But if you take notes, you might remember. But at any rate, when you're relating to people and you're kind of communicating one-to-one, what you find is that there's a lot of similarities, and then there's this like dark spot that's non-negotiable. Don't go there. I immediately want to go there. I immediately want to find out what's in there. And what's in there, lots of times people are hiding things. There's shameful things that happened in their past. There's things that tell you, you know what, you're no good, you don't matter, blah, 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 blah. All that negative crap. And, we want to believe it of ourselves because, if you believe the opposite, well, I'm just great and my poop doesn't stink. In fact, it smells like lilacs. You're dealing with somebody delusional, right? And so we know that we're failed. We know that we've got big problems. We know that we don't really measure up if the standard is righteousness. But see, that's the beauty of the gospel. That's why the gospel is hung on to by people to the death. People would rather believe the gospel than die. It's so important to them. And in the early Roman Empire, people couldn't believe it. It's sort of like, oh, wait, all right, you want to go on for this weird Christian cult? Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stick you in the lion's den, see? Yeah, we're going to rub you out. There's people lining up. Can I be first, please? Let me be first. They didn't know what to do with that. And it's not like Christianity, some weird death cult, like Jim Jones and Kool-Aid and stuff. Kool-Aid and Jim Jones, that's more like Dr. Fraudchi and his magic medicine, if you want my opinion. But anyway, don't get me started on that CV-19 thing. Crooked as the day is long. Ugly, too. But anyway, mass murderers aside, golly, for multi-billion-dollar deals, mass murderers aside who are interested in multi-billion-dollar deals, you and I are down here. We're not bottom feeders, but what I mean, we're not the big fish. We're not the stars. We're not in the newspapers. I don't even know if there are newspapers anymore. We're not on the interweb. We're not on a meme or something. We just work for a living. Take care of people, do the right thing, and treat people right. And so I was in a grocery today. Well, it wasn't really a grocery. It's the place where I got these beers. It's a little quick stop, Murphy's. And there's this dude in there, and he's got like these nasty looking tats all over his face. I can tell the guy's probably psychotic. He's over there behind me ranting and raving and making inane noises. The girl, she's just standing behind the counter. This is the employee lady. And she's saying, out of the store, move it, now. So apparently they've dealt with this guy before. And he's yelling and carrying on and making threats and stuff. So I'm talking to the other cashier, and I said, do you guys ever have to call the PD? He says, oh, only every day. So there's this upswelling of the homeless in our time. And it mixed with it is this huge mob, this incredible millions of people sweeping in from the south down here off the border. This so-called Biden, the so-called administration, he's got a wide open policy. Who knows who's coming in here? Who knows? And whether they got tuberculosis or whether they're members of MS-13 or whatever that number is in Panama. There's some gangsters down in Panama that play hardball. They make the mafia look like a bunch of sissies. And these dudes are bad news. Are they coming in? I think so. So all this stuff is going on. And all of a sudden in the middle of it, you're thinking, you know what unites all these crazy ideas together? You know what the one single thing they all have in common is that they hate Jesus. They deny the scriptures. They defy the Father Almighty. They refute the Spirit Holy. Oh yeah? Let's see how far that flies. Let's see what you can do with that. And that's how good our God is. That's, in a sense, what he's waiting for. When I was so young, I was so angry at God. I was just sitting there thinking, my God, what a piss pot you run. What the hell's wrong with you, man? Even I was at the time like an 8-year-old, even I, a little kid, can look at this and say, you suck at what you do. You're supposed to be all good, all beneficent, and you're supposed to be in charge of everything. At that time, Vietnam was blowing up, and there was all kinds of riots in the streets. John Kennedy got whacked when I was about 5. Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King died when I was like 9/10. So I was like a 5th grader looking at all this crap blowing up. There was riots all over the streets and people losing their minds. And, oh my gosh, all kinds of this heavy-duty drug experimentation going on in the hip movement, the hipsters. I never cared much for hippie people, thank you. Weirdos. And they're still weird. They're weird to this day. I never have trusted them people. And they're just getting old and crazy. But anyway, got a little carried away on that one. The situation is, viewers, friends, and enemies alike, when we're looking at what we're looking at, which is, say, we'll call it reality, and we view reality in light of he who sees, he who authors it, he who made it and causes it to cohere in space-time continuity, movement by moment. Think of it as a sort of a four-dimensional net, but it was called out beforehand. He declares the end from before the beginning, or from the beginning. Everything in right now, this episode right now, in this moment now, that was decreed that you would be sitting here and I'd be sitting here and there'd be an intersection. He draws this stuff up. Why does he do that? Well, apparently because he's good. But the point is, for us, as we're looking at all the news and considering, what you do day by day, you know what, I'm not a big shot. I'm a guy who digs ditches. I'm not calling international policy. I'm not down Putin up on the phone saying, here, Pooty Poot, here's my idea. This is what you should do. And then calling up old XI over there, number 11 in China. I still think that's funny, XI. Good old number 11, the chief communist over there. It's not like I have a hotline where I can call that guy up and say, hey, look here, you need to change this up, see? You're all mixed up. That ain't going to happen. My voice is a nobody, and I'm looking at Russell Brand right now. Now, I like Russell. He's a good guy. I don't agree with all his policies, but he doesn't agree with mine either. That's all right. He's a real man. And he's a solid dude, and very entertaining, very intelligent, and he's got a razor sharp mind too. That boy can play hardball up here, and it shows. And of course, it's got him in trouble now. YouTube, I think, is trying to ban his channel or something, and he's getting troubles from the British government and stuff. Well, bravo for him. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. That says that he is making a difference. He's still on Rumble. They can't do nothing about that. And I think he's on another one of the media channels. So go look up Russell, see what you can see. I bet you he's got a few words to say here. Now that accent of his is a little much. Sometimes I want to use subtitles. Like, what did that boy say? Now look at here. We don't talk like that around here. Oh boy. But things are falling apart, and guess what's happening? You're coming together. He's putting us together piece by piece. And the new person who shall live, the new person who shall stand up out of the grave, clothed in light and immortality and an unkillable joy, a gladness which resounds. He's already building that. We already have life eternal. It's in us now. The kingdom is within you, man. And that's the good news. Church kind of forgot that part. It's a new and a living way. A new and a living way. And Messiah Jesus is at the center of it. Because he's the one who came and he died and he loves and he loved and he shall ever love. And what I mean by that, it isn't love, some kind of sissy love. It's a love that gets that down and makes it happen, man. I was talking about my lousy job moving dirt and stuff. He did way deeper. He dove down to the bottom, man. That bloody cross was horrible. Hang there buck naked, unrecognizable even to your own mother. He was beaten beyond recognition. And he was still conscious. And you know what he was doing? He was praying for you. Yeah, it's real. It happened. And he's so good, he follows through. And those prayers come to life in you today, little by little. You grow a little today, you grow a little tomorrow. So be patient. And maybe your parents don't like you. Maybe your brother don't like you. Maybe your sister thinks you're crazy. Well, think what they think. You just do what you do. Which is to say, Savior Jesus, you know what? You have loved me with an everlasting love. And I've barely loved you. In fact, I hardly can do it at all. I'm really bad at it. And won't you teach me then to love you better? Wouldn't that be the reasonable thing? And he helps us. He helps us real good. And the way he helps is by pointing out, as an example today, here we go, 2 hits on a gas pipe now on one job. Think about it, Mike. When was the last time that happened? Am I really so competent as all that? I brag about plumbing 38 years. I've never seen that before in 38 years. I don't know everything. In fact, the things I know are kind of sketchy, if you'd like to know. But he knows everything, and he knows everything so perfectly, he even knows my own heart. And he knows that I wish I could do better. And in a way, I defy my old failures, but still it was me that done them. I was the one goofed up. I should have paid attention, especially after nailing that one time. But I didn't. And I told Kev today, I said, this is not looking good for me. This is only my second week on the job. And 2 hits on one gas system? Come on now. That's unreasonable. I'm just putting words in his mouth. I mean, I'm not trying to defend myself. I'm trying to accuse myself and say, you know what? You might want to think this over. Having this old goof on your team. But sometimes things work like that. Some jobs are just jinxed. I used to tell some of my helpers that run into one of these jobs just like this, where it's like, what the heck's going on? Am I fighting evil spirits here besides trying to do plumbing? So I used to tell guys that, well, here's the problem, see, is that we're on an ancient Indian burial site, and there's a curse laid on this ground. And we're cursed because we're trying to build on it. So don't be surprised if the roof falls in on your head. I was just joking around. But there is a spiritual element to it, and I'm not going to go there because I'm not competent to solve. But he who is competent solves for us, and his solution is, run to me, seek my cover. That's Messiah. Because in the day of wrath, in the day of unveiling, when the Almighty is unfurled, we'll call it, in uncreated wrath against wickedness, and comes to burn it down in person, there's one bomb shelter strong enough. That's the blood of the Lamb. That's the broken body of Jesus. And everything else is fuel for the fire. Seek shelter while you can. Come in from the storm. He's the storm. He's the furious one. And what he's furious about is our wickedness. And there's nothing we can do to halt our wickedness. But only he could halt the fury, the disaster, which is richly due. And this is the good news. The church used to know this. The church used to preach it. Maybe it's just plumbers' jobs now. And girls like you too. The ones I called out. I like calling out people, and if we can do it some more, let's do it. Cindy and Anna Rose, God bless you. And everyone else who's watching too. Why not? Didn't cost me nothing. It cost him his blood. And he paid it gladly.